You are watching T to the M to the I-D-D.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more
Okay, so what we have, this is my first impressions with the Hasselblad X2D. Let's go. All right, here we go. 1, 2, see if we got this manual focus. All right. One, two. 1, 2. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. Yeah, that thing fire right there. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. What's this? I think this is the 80. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right, perfect. 1, 2. Oh, that's fire. Gorgeous. Fire. Oh yeah, we got some heat right here. One, two. Let me come from this side. Yep. 1, 2. 1, 2. Perfect. Boom. All right, can you stand up and give me something like right here with this background? Perfect. 1, 2. Gorgeous. Oh yeah, that's it. Boom. Boom. Let's go.
Okay, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? T to the M to the IDD, and I really hope that you enjoyed that behind the scenes. Now, I have to give you a few pieces of information before I give you my first impression on this particular camera. Now, when I say that this was a first impression, this was sincerely a first impression. Derek, who is the owner of this Hasselblad, gave it to me literally right before my event. So I didn't have any hands-on experience. It was literally, here's the camera, go ahead and use it. And I only had 15 minutes to do this shoot because my event was starting. So that says a lot about what I was able to do with this lens, with this camera in itself, because I only had that much time and knew nothing about this camera. Okay, now when it comes to medium formats, I have used the Fuji GFX medium format. So for me, that's kind of what I have to compare it to in terms of performance on a medium format level. Now, we know that people say that the sensor size of the GFX isn't a true medium format and blase, but that's the closest thing I have to compare when I was actually doing my first comparison. So starting off, I had limited time, so my initial thought was to use off-camera flash, of course, okay? So I had my X1T trigger. It would give me one initial signal and give me one flash, and then after that, it would miscommunicate, okay? And the owner of the Hasselblad, he was outside somewhere, so he actually had the X Pro trigger. Now, the Hasselblad was using the Nikon trigger to actually trigger the flash. So I thought that my X1T would work with it. It would not work. So that left me without a flash. So I threw the flash to the side because I didn't have time to go get the trigger. And I went with natural light. Now, it just so happened that it had just finished kind of raining. It was overcast, so we had nice, soft lighting. So it worked out perfectly. The second thing that ended up happening to me was, since I was not familiar with the system, I was not familiar with the lenses. Now, the lens that I started with was the X2D 55 f2.5, and when you translate that to a full frame, it's around a 43 millimeter, and that's right in my wheelhouse, knowing that I like the 35, so close enough for me. That's one of my favorite focal lengths if you watch my channel. And so I did not know that the focus ring, you had to actually push it up or push it down to adjust it from autofocus to manual. So what does that mean? That means T to the M to the IDD started off the shooting in all manual.
So, 1, 2, see if we got this manual focus.
And boy, was that an experience. So I'm literally have this camera in my hand and I'm like, okay, hold on. What's going on? How do I put this in auto? Because come on, who doesn't want to use autofocus if I have this technology? Couldn't figure it out. So I am going manual. And let me tell you something. The Hasselblad system made it so easy for me to find focus, even shooting the manual. Now, I'm not going to lie. A few of those shots were soft and out of focus. But once I got the hang of it, every shot was on point and it was tacked sharp. So I absolutely had a learning curve there. I didn't figure out this until I had to actually go look it up after the fact. So that was kind of the two things that I immediately noticed while initially using this Hasselblad X2D. Now, Moving on from those things, what I absolutely love, like as soon as I touched this camera, I could feel the quality of this camera, number one. All right. I could feel the quality. Also, the ergonomics. I love how it felt in my hands. Now, the design and look. It was also had a nice minimalist kind of a look, a beautiful aesthetic of a camera. I can't lie. And I see why that price is what that price is, because this was about a $16,000 setup between the camera and the lenses that I use. Now, another thing that I liked about this that kind of helped with my intimidation factor was that with that minimalist kind of setup, it had very few buttons. So when it came to me trying to initially operate this camera, it was pretty simple. I was going natural light. I was able to find my aperture. I was able to find my shutter and my ISO. It was pretty straightforward. I did not get to dive deeper into the menu settings because I was on a time limit, but I got to what I needed. Shot JPEG plus RAW. The JPEG file was about 35 megabytes, and you know, the RAW file was way beyond that, which I'm used to from the GFX. So from that perspective on design and look and comfort in the hand, I absolutely love that. Now, as I mentioned, what I have to compare it to in terms of medium format is the GFX 100S. When I was in Vegas, Fuji let me take that camera and use it, and so I ran this through its paces out there at Nelson's Ghost Town, if you ever been there. So initially, when I am shooting this camera, I realized the performance, okay, and like it really kind of took me back to what this camera would be used for. You got these high megapixels, so something that has real detail that you need to capture, or if you need to blow something out and not worry about detail loss, it kind of took me back to that, because when it comes to speed of the camera, now I did not dive into, you know, if I could make it faster, things like that, but I wouldn't expect that from this camera anyway. This type of camera, I already had in my mind that it's really about, you know, not just spray and pray. It's really about setting up that shot, getting your composition, you know, getting that expression, all of those things from your model and capturing that shot, because there is a delay between those shots. But also think about the data that's being written to the card. I also experienced this with the GFX, so I am pretty used to that kind of delay when shooting on those medium format cameras. Some of the other things that I loved with this camera was the tonal transitions. I love the color of the files, and the resolution is out of this world. I eventually switched to the 80mm f1.9 because I seen that it was a great composition of her sitting across on the other end of the pool. Now I knew that 80 wouldn't get me all the way there, but no worries, because what am I shooting with? I'm shooting with the Hasselblad X2D, where I can crop as much as I want and don't have to worry about the detail loss. And it showed just exactly that. It was perfect in that scenario. And with those types of things, it comes in handy because you can take one photo and get, you know, 20 different other photos on in that same photo just from the crop. So from a money perspective, I know it is a lot of money. I think that is the most expensive camera that I have used to date. Most expensive setup for sure. And would I get this? Man, I would really, is really like, I almost say, like, for me, obviously it's not a need, right? It would really be a want, but it's almost like your Ferraris and Lamborghinis, you know, and we're right there with the phase one, like those higher end cameras. Those are the ones where, you know, you really, really are into it. Now, with that being said, of course, T-Mill would love to have one of these, but it's man, first impressions absolutely phenomenal. I would definitely like to use this camera a little bit more, and dive a little bit deeper into things like the leaf shutter and all of those things, because those are some of the things that I definitely would find benefit from into the way that I shoot with off-camera flash and things like that. So I'm definitely going to have to follow up and try to get a more detailed shoot with this camera. But from the first impressions, man, I absolutely loved it, and definitely was glad that I was able to use this camera. I did not edit any of the photos because honestly, I like that the JPEGs how they are, and so for the most part, what I would do is remove the blemishes. Most of the skin is pretty clean on Chiamaka. She is an excellent model. So if I did some frequency separation, it probably would be very minimal. But everything else, color wise, I like it as it is. So that is my first impressions of this camera. Let me know in the comments below, would you rock something like this? What's the most expensive setup that you have used? Because this is definitely the top of the list for me. Until the next video, T to the M to the IDD. Peace.